What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the CultureVerse podcast. We have myself, Gabe, we got Caleb and Tyler. Today, we're doing a review over Avatar Fire and Ash. It's been one of the biggest, most hyped up, expected movies of the entire year, coming a bit later as well. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about something before Fire and Ash, which was two trailers. We got a full trailer for the Odyssey, and we got a teaser for Doomsday. So let's talk about the Odyssey first before we get into the Doomsday teaser. Christopher Nolan's Odyssey has been talked about a ton. I mean, obviously, everyone's talked about it. We've talked about it. We've gotten hyped about it and everything. This was the first, like, genuine trailer. I think the first two were maybe more so, you could probably call them trailers, but they were short. They were like a minute, maybe. This was like a here's part of the story, here's some dialogue, here's a look at characters, here's a look at the set, all that good stuff. What did you guys think? Because personally, I that trailer ended and I was ready to spend however much I need to get a ticket to that movie.
I'm really excited for this movie. This will be probably my number going into when we do our, you know, fresh expectations for 2026. This will undoubtedly be the most anticipated movie for me. Even if it wasn't Christopher Nolan, the fact that it's the Odyssey and it's one of the first times we're seeing it put to screen, exciting stuff too. I think that the set design all looks great so far. The cinematography looks incredible. I looked over at Gabe at one point where there's you can the sun is setting over the water and the boat is in the middle of the screen. Scene looks incredible. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say about like the trailer itself because I was they could have put poop on a screen and I would have like, yeah. If as long as it ended with the Odyssey coming in 2026, I would have been like 4 out of 5 trailer, could have been worse.
That could be good shit.
So I nice. I see what you did there. So yeah, I'm honestly really excited for this movie. I think the costumes look cool already. We haven't seen a lot. Well, who was the actor doing that? They revealed his armor at the beginning. The guy with like the bone. He has like the.
Yeah.
I just saw a
I
post
don't
about it today.
I don't remember which actor it is, but I was gonna mention that, talk about that as well. But yeah, finish what you were saying.
I mean, that's really all I was just saying is that all
Yeah,
Blu-ray
yeah.
looks really cool tomorrow, and I'm really excited for it. So yeah.
Tyler, what about you?
Well, unfortunately, they're not wearing lore accurate armor,
Oh
so
right.
unfortunately, I'm out. No, that it looks good. Christopher Nolan is going to knock this out of the park as expected. This movie's going to be great.
Yeah, Caleb, I want to talk about. I can't think of the specific actor, but I know the shot that it opens with, that armor, that shot is insane. Having like the golden spine on the black armor is crazy. That just looks so good. But the thing that I mean, obviously we know this is going to be a crazy movie in terms of visuals because Nolan's talked about not using too much effects, doing a lot of practical, and everything has been shot on location. He talked about they went out on rough waters in the ocean to get scenes representing a rough storm hitting. Like that, the dedication is insane. And he said there were times where I genuinely felt unsafe. Like they were in a storm on the ocean just to get some of those shots. And you can see there's actually a specific scene where it's when the water's rocking and they're in like there's like a bunch of them in the boat. If you guys have seen Dunkirk, there's a very similar sequence in Dunkirk of them out on this boat during a storm that feels almost identical to that. And just it's the Odyssey is this one of the most well-known pieces of fiction ever. And something I've mentioned multiple times with mythology is there hasn't really been ever a mythology movie that is like phenomenal. There have been good ones, but there've never I don't think there's ever been a mythology piece of work in terms of film that's been like just brilliant. Knowing that it's in the hands of Christopher Nolan is the most refreshing. Like, I have so much faith in him to make this look good. And the story's already written. Like, that's the fun part. He doesn't have to come up with some phenomenal story. The story is already written. Like, he's just adapting it. It's just a matter of making it look good. And like, I think of some of the shots you talked about, Caleb, where we saw the sun over the ocean, but there's also that scene where we see the head of the giant for the first time. That's insane. Like we see him peek through, like to know that that is practical, and obviously there's CGI involved. It's not like they did it all practical, but knowing that there's so much practical things in this just gets me so excited. So like the cast is stacked. Nolan's an incredible director. It's all shot on sets in real places. It, you can't really do much better at this point other than just keep going with what you got. So I just honestly, I hope he doesn't drop another trailer. I hope this is all we get. I don't really want to know much else. I'm glad with what we saw. There will be another trailer, obviously. That's how movies work. But I'm glad with what we saw. So my last kind of say on this is, you guys know how excited I've been for this, and this trailer was just like the pinnacle of that excitement. So, like Caleb said, I couldn't agree more, Caleb. They could have shown me 15 seconds of like a tree, and I would have been like, "That's sick, dude!" Like, it was gonna work either way. So yeah, this trailer is absolutely elite. I'm glad we all are equally excited about this movie coming out for sure. But with
Yeah,
that, yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say something else. So you were talking about
Go
like
ahead.
the whole mythology, how that's been adapted to film and stuff, or even I guess TV, and
Mhm.
the idea of Percy Jackson. But what I was thinking is there hasn't really been that many that are great, sure, but there aren't really that many that are really dark tonally, like not like,
Mhm.
kid-ish for like Percy Jackson. Even the first two Percy Jackson movies were like, I suppose a little bit darker than the ones we have, the show we have right now, but it's wasn't by a law. It was easily worse than the show. So if that kind
Mhm.
it's darker tonally, but it's worse somehow. It's like you can't get both. The one I was thinking
Mhm.
of was actually Clash of the Titans, which is fitting for the movie we're reviewing today. Um, but the problem with Clash of the Titans is that it's very dark tonally. It's very, really crazy moments that happen in that story, but it looks like shit. Like the CGI is terrible, and the story is like good. It's not like anything crazy. Like I think I was just saying our ratings. I don't remember your review time, but I don't remember you. It's good. Like it's good level, but like
It's fun.
yeah, it's fun. That's kind of my perspective of that. So like it just really goes back to how much there really just isn't much that's been adapted for mythology
Mhm.
and nothing to the extent of, a Christopher Nolan summer blockbuster. So that'll be really cool to see.
Yeah, frankly, where I'm getting with that as well is I'm tired of just saying like, yeah, it's a fun mythology movie. I want like that was an incredible film. Like that was an amazing movie. That was a super well written story. That looked amazing. I want this movie to be talk like honestly, I think this movie has potential to seriously be one of Nolan's greatest movies ever, just because of how good the Odyssey is. Like, there's so much. He doesn't have to worry about writing this super in-depth story. He's just got to figure out how to adapt it to his screen, and from there, he can cook with everything that we know he's good at with being behind the camera, using sets, using practical effects, all that stuff. We know he can do that, and the cast is insane. So this has potential to be his best movie ever. Okay. Well, with that, we're going to move over to the Doomsday teaser. Spoilers ahead. There are some people who are just posting this shit. I'm sorry if you were spoiled by it. I kind of was, but not to the full extent. But spoilers ahead before we get into this. You have been warned. Let's dive in. So, this is the first of four, reportedly four trailers, teasers that will post. The first three will be character centric, and the fourth one supposedly will be an actual trailer. I'm not going to talk about who the next trailers are supposed to be about because we technically don't know for sure. We pretty much know, which is kind of a spoiler in of itself. But the one that we saw was obviously confirming that Steve Rogers will return in Doomsday. Chris Evans will be playing him. The teaser opens up with him showing up to the house that we see at the end of Endgame, where he dances with Peggy, and he has a son or daughter. I'm assuming it's a son because it's a baby with a blue clothing on. I don't know if that's just the color, but whatever. I'm going too into that with a kid. And before that, we see him holding an old Captain America suit, which is clearly the exact suit in Endgame that he wears before going back and staying with Peggy. So, lots of things. We have no direction for Doomsday. We just know people that are going to be in it. This maybe gives us a little bit of room to start coming up with theories, coming up with ideas. But I'll let you guys talk first because I've got a lot of thoughts on this 33-second teaser.
Well, if you want to put butts in seats, that's how you do it. You drop a quick teaser saying, "Hey, Chris Evans is back." I mean, either way, you're probably getting $1 billion out of it, anyways. But yeah, yeah, this takes a whole new spin. I didn't. This changes honestly how Endgame ended because I know we talked about this after the movie, but like they could definitely take a route where like they take this Chris Evans or take yeah, no, they take this Captain America and make him go through Doomsday and Secret Wars, and the ending of Endgame could be the ending of everything with how he talks to Sam and refuses to tell him anything. I mean, there's just a lot of routes you can go with this, but having Chris Evans back as Captain America, well, Steve Rogers is something I'm very much looking forward to.
So do you think it's going to be a Captain Hydra thing, or do you think it's for sure Captain America?
I think it's for sure Captain.
Both?
Personally, I don't. I want to hear what you think, Tyler. If you think both, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be like him turning into Captain Hydra and not being Captain America anymore?
No, I think there's a possibility where we bring in Captain America and he fights Captain Hydra. I think there
Oh,
is a possibility where we have
we already
maybe
saw him fight himself.
Doctor Doom having an evil version of Steve, and Sam or the Avengers or whatever
Mm,
has their version. I think that is a very strong possibility.
that would be interesting. Yeah,
That would
I
be
think
super.
that.
We've seen him
I,
interact. We've seen him do it before in Endgame with
We literally
two.
yeah,
saw him fight
Yeah,
himself. So,
yeah,
yeah,
nice ass. We'll just say that America's ass there, Franklin.
right.
America's ass, baby.
Yeah.
I think the problem for me with this is I'm really excited for this, but I think I just I probably should stop doing this, but I have like a lot of logistical problems with how they're going to tackle this. With like, is it the same Captain Steve Rogers? Is it like I mean, all of this is to be foreseen, obviously. But for me, as I stand right now, I guess I'm more speculative negatively than I am like positively. It's really cool. Chris Evans tried to deny this for years that he wasn't coming back at all. So I think all of us were like, "There's just yet no way you're not coming back." It's at least cool. I mean, obviously, it was really cool to see like the motorcycle pull up and him have a kid and the suit again. I think we talked about a lot about what the kid can mean, as far as like if it's the same universe or something like that. Could be if they're doing their own spin on it, because I talked about it too. There's not that many alterations in the comics where he has like a child, and a lot of them aren't very prominent in the comic storyline. So that'll be curious to see what they do with that. But really cool to see. I mean, obviously we get more Avengers stuff. I think we're all a little bit like curious, anxiously about the state of the MCU right now, which is good and bad because I mean we obviously want to see it, but it's obviously like for some people it feels like a train falling off the tracks. And I think it maybe less than that, but it was nice to see an MCU thing in the theater. Like it brings me back to my childhood. You see an MCU trailer in theaters, like that's awesome. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this to you guys immediately. If you guys know anything about this podcast, you'll know that Marvel has me in a chokehold essentially, where I will pretty much like anything that they give me most of the time. There are a few MCU movies that I really don't like, not very many. Like most Marvel movies I'm into. Doomsday, when they did the chair thing, everyone was pissed, and I was like losing my shit because they could feed me slop and I'd still be like, it's not too bad, man. Like it's a problem. I just love Marvel. Like I will always love Marvel. So just simply seeing Chris Evans show up as Steve Rogers on my screen was like, I'm here, dude. Like I'm so in. Like I was already hyped, but like just seeing him hold the suit was like, holy fuck, dude. Like we're so back. And I don't even know the story's about. Like I don't even know where we're going. I'm excited because the way that I think this is going to unfold, I think we're seeing Steve a couple years after that last dance with Peggy, where now they have a kid, the kid's growing up. I think he's looking at the suit because I'm guessing either somebody came to him, because here's the thing. When he goes back to be with Peggy, that creates a branched timeline. He's not now still in our timeline. He is in a branched timeline, which implies that somehow he had to find a way to get back to our timeline to give Sam the shield. That's what's implied, and that has been confirmed by the Russos. The Russos said that when he stays with Peggy, that creates a branch that is no longer our timeline. So, my thoughts is this is a couple years after that happens in this universe. Either someone comes and finds him, whether it's Doom, whether it's a version of Iron Man, whether it's someone else, and essentially tries to get him to come help. And what we're seeing is him looking at his suit and thinking, I have a kid now. I have a family. Do I really want to? Literally, what Iron Man goes through in Endgame. Do I really want to risk what I have? And I think what we're going to see is in Doomsday and in Secret Wars, like Tyler talked about, we're going to see the life of that old version of Cap. We're going to see how he got to this version of being an old man and somehow how he gets back to there. I thought is the reason he goes back is because we're going to see them work with the Avengers, obviously, and he's going to see Sam with the shield as Captain America and realize that by the end, he needs to give Sam in that old timeline the shield because he understands what will happen if he's Captain America. That's where I'm at right now. And I'm thrilled with that. I think everything about that sounds awesome. I would love to see Cap, who gets his happy ending with Peggy, but like he's just like Tony, where he's got his happy ending, but if there is evil, he physically cannot rest, knowing that there is something going on that's evil. So it's going to be awesome to see if this is true. It's going to be really fun to see him go through that turmoil and that character of like, I have a kid now. I don't need to be Captain America, but they need me. Like that is something I want to see. That's something I'm excited to see. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm so glad Chris Evans is back. I think this is going to be a really cool addition, and I'm really looking forward to the next two character-driven trailers to see if they're similar like this. And then that final trailer, praying to God it doesn't give away anything crazy.
Yeah.
There's potential that by that time that final trailer drops, this will be right behind the Odyssey for my most excited movie for next year because
Dune.
they're doing decent. It could be ahead of Dune, yes, if the trailers are done correctly. So that's where I'm at
Fair.
right now. Chris Evans is, I'll just leave it there. Chris Evans being back, cinema. Okay, well, with that, let's get into the actual movie review of Avatar Fire and Ash. This is the third installment of James Cameron's Avatar series. He does say that he has four and five written in terms of scripts. He's waiting to see how this movie does, considering I saw a post that it's already got like 75% of its budget made back and it's been out for like a week. I think he'll be making four and five.
I heard that they already started filming for four, and they're already like done with the first
Yeah, they
act.
had the first. Yeah, I
That's
saw that
yeah,
too.
that's probably very, very true. But he's also mentioned he's bounced around ideas of the next two, the sixth and the following one. And he's talked about in that scenario, he would pass the baton to a different director. He says he would step away at that point because, and I quote, he said, mortality catches us, which is true. He is 72 years old, which is kind of
Yeah,
crazy to think about. He does not like that's insane, but whatever.
Avatar 6 is probably a decade away anyway. So
Yeah, exactly. Well, the next one is not out. It's 4 years out, so we got a while till the next one comes out. But enough talking about the future. Let's talk about the now, which is Fire and Ash. So let's start off with our ratings.
that was a good game.
Um,
I like that transition.
thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I'll go first. I'll throw mine out. I'm giving Avatar Fire and Ash a 4 out of 5.
I'll go next, Tyler. I'm gonna give it a 4 as well.
I'll go next. I'm giving this a five.
Whoa, Tyler.
So Tyler, is that your
Drop the
Wow.
first,
five bomb
is that your second five of the year?
of the year.
Superman and
Yes, yes. I mean, if you're counting just 2025 movies, yes. But I've watched movies this year that I've given fives. That
yeah,
yeah.
Right.
that's what. Yeah, yep.
But yes,
Wow.
it's my
Okay.
second 5-star movie. Second five
Okay.
star on the pod as well.
Oh yeah,
Love to hear it.
2025 is cooking, frankly.
25. I've had
it has
some.
been good.
At the start of it, Caleb, you and I were like, this year is not looking like it's going
Mm,
to be very good. Boy,
happens
were
every
we
year.
wrong. There were some bangers. But let's get into this movie since we all obviously liked it a lot. Let's Tyler, let's have you start it off first. What, in your opinion, made this a 5 instead of a 4.5?
You know, I think what made this movie a five for me, and I know a lot of people on the internet think otherwise, but I think this movie added an element of the story that is different compared to Way of Water and the first Avatar, adding the Ash people and adding the storyline with Spider being able to breathe the air brought a new element to this movie. And also, I thought emotionally, I thought this movie brought went to a level I didn't think they were going to go to, involving Jake Sully and his kid. That scene with I can't remember how to say his name, but when
Malak.
he's yeah, when he's out there by himself, I didn't think they were going to go that route, but they did. And it shocked me, frankly. And even with the whole thing with Spider, yeah, all of that, even though you guys know my opinion on Spider, but even that was pretty emotional and it hurt. But yeah, I think this movie just does. I like the first two Avatars. About having them both at 4.5. I think this movie just does what the first two does, but just step better.
I will start off by saying that I immediately agree with you in terms of the emotions. I think the scene with Spider in this movie where he takes him out into the woods had me tearing. Like there were I was sitting next to both of you. If either one of you looked at me, there were tears rolling down my face. Like that was genuinely one of the saddest moments in the entire franchise when he says to him, I can't remember the exact word. It's something like "Dad, don't do it" or "Dad, please." That is awful. That is horrible. So the emotions were high in this one, but they were also really high in Way of Water. I was quite devastated with the way that they ran through that movie with Neteyam. Yeah,
Damn,
him
yeah.
dying in the second one is devastating as well.
Mhm.
And this movie just does the same thing as that one, where they're way more aggressive with making it emotional, making it intense. And one thing that I will always give these movies credit for in terms of the emotions is the score. The score makes you feel emotions so much. They use very like I'm going to use the word tribal, very like it fits the Navi, like it does. It feels like it's a ancient like relic out of like their culture, and it's that's the best thing these movies do. Then you can never change your mind is the world building, the diving into the different cultures. This movie introduces us to yet another version of the Navi with the Ash settlement and everything, and also the Wind. They show us the Wind traders as well. That's new too, super interesting. But the world building in this one is just as good as it has been in the others, and then the emotions as well kind of hit that high as they do in the one before this, because that is a problem I have with the first one is there is the really emotional moment of the tree going down, but outside of that, like a lot of it's kind of formulaic. The second one, you have the family involved. It's way more on the line. The stakes are higher. Jake and Natiri now have a family. It's like, and then watching Natayam die is like the pulling out the heart part of it. But then in this one, everything with Spider, everything with Loak. Like you mentioned, he was Loak when he's got the gun. Like that was really sad. Like everything about that, and it's not just that scene with Loak. It's every time that everything that he does is pretty much justified, which is crazy because he's walking that line of being one of those like bratty kids who just keeps like pissing off and doing his own shit. But like he's valid almost every single time he does it, just because he's kind of treated like shit. Like that's almost like I don't think that's a con. Jake is so consistently hard on Loak that it gets a little repetitive, and at some points I'm like, I understand he kind of blames him for the death of Natayam, but like finally getting that payoff at the end where he talks to him and breaks down that wall is so nice that I kind of wish we had it earlier. But my point being, everything with Loak is emotional. I feel like he's very justified in this movie, and everything with Spider is equally emotional. Jack Champion did a great job acting. I thought he was really good as Spider. But yeah, Caleb, I'll let you jump in here. What are your thoughts?
No, from both of those, I think Gabe, we said in the car too. I think this is more of a Loak and Spider centric movie, and
Mhm.
I think that those two characters were written really well as far as their character arcs go. I think that might be a problem that I might bring up later, but as far as pros go, I think those two characters for sure shine. The acting is really good. I like the kind of plot that they go on each of them. I like introducing that Spider becomes, similar to the Navi. Like that's a very cool plot arc. I like that introduces elements of the whole part of like family. This is a very family centric movie. All of them are kind of family centered movies, like as far as like the dynamics between characters and family. And I like how they handle some of it, a lot of it. I mean, I like this movie a lot. I'm willing to give it a pretty good amount benefit of the doubt, in my opinion. Where I was like, man, this fucking movie is awesome. It's like it looks cool. A lot of where my pros lie in this movie is the first two acts, and I think that is because there is so much cool stuff happening in each of the first two acts that it kind of makes up for my opinion on the final act. Um, but as far as those two characters go and the emotions go, definitely high. I kind of forgot about the part where he is considering suicide. Like where Loak is on the beach. That is a really powerful moment. I can't believe I forgot about that until you mentioned that. Very cool. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You're gonna have to
Okay,
up the rating now because you remember it, right?
I'll consider it. Um, um, but yeah, the emotions are strong in this movie. But like I said, the first two are actually really strong in this movie. Like I was willing to give this movie a 4.5 to a 5. I was like, we're getting to things quickly. I think James Cameron has such control of the pacing in his movies. I feel like he's able to write these epics that are 3 hours long, and somehow you usually don't really feel the runtime. I know, Gabe, you might have had a problem with like the final act. For me, I think they're getting the thing timely, giving you enough depth for each event where like you can build up to it nicely. There's something that happens to a character that happens, and it's very safe. If he has a standard, he has a formula that works that isn't like repetitively formula. Like you can have formula. We talked about this in F1, where F1 is a very like what's kind of going to happen in F1, but it's so cool because of how they execute it. It's okay. It's kind of how I feel about Avatar, where it's like you kind of know what to expect. Like somebody's going to get kidnapped. They're going to have this family bonding journey, And some things, the some characters are gonna shine, some are gonna not shine, and eventually it's gonna have some crazy ass ending that is just this huge epic fight. The thing that is was different is that Way of Water introduces a death in the final act, which is shocking, and that's kind of what I also want to get back to is this movie made me think higher of Way of Water, to where I think Way of Water might actually be my favorite one after seeing this. Where I'm like, I think Way of Water might be the best because of how they did it. Um, I guess I'll get off my high horse, but yeah, I want to talk about the first two acts and how they did the pacing because for me, this 3 hour, 19-minute movie didn't feel long at all. But yeah, the first two acts really cool.
Yeah, Caleb, I agree with you very much. Way of Water is, in fact, my favorite. I kind of felt that way regardless. I don't think this one really changed my opinion on it. I just think either way, it was going to be my favorite with Way of Water. But you mentioned the first and second act, and I definitely agree that you mentioned that James Cameron has control of the pacing. One of the things he does really well, you never feel like he's exposition dumping. It never feels like he's forcing you to sit here and be like, "All right, we have to do this so we can save this and go here so that way we can do that." Like you're just with the characters. You're just following with them as we go from task to task to task with really cool shit in between. Awesome. And side note slightly, this is the best looking of the three somehow. I don't know how. Way of
It's
Water is
insane. The
Way of
people
Water,
look
dude. Yeah,
so
the
real.
people are
It doesn't
insane.
make sense.
When I saw Way of Water, I was like, this is seriously one of the greatest things I've ever laid my eyes upon. This one upped it. How? Fuck, I don't know. But one of the things that blows me away, especially in this one, the use of shadows and lighting on their faces is ridiculous. I think specifically of the scene where Natiri is trying to save Jake from the camp or whatever, the city, and she's hiding underneath kind of like this. I don't know if they're in the sewers. She's hiding underneath this
Like
platform.
a deck. It's like a deck or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it's like a deck, but the deck has like grates. The lighting is coming through the grates and like coming across onto her face with shadows, all as well with sweat dripping down the face. What? Like if you showed if you showed this movie to like this is gonna sound crazy. If you showed this movie to like an Amish village, I think they would just think you had like footage of aliens. Like
Found
they would be
footage.
like, we found aliens, and I'd be like, pretty much, like it doesn't at
He's
no
the
point
villager.
at at, at no point do you like you have to physically take yourself out of the movie to remember that this isn't real. Like that's crazy. These are 10 feet tall blue people, and I'm like, yeah, no, these are real. Like uh, this all feels real. And that's crazy. That's how good the visuals are. But like I said, that was an insane side note. It just got me talking about the visuals. But Caleb, I almost said you got me talking about the villagers. You got me talking about the visuals. But back to what I was saying. I forgot what I was saying. Fuck.
You were
The first two
talking.
acts.
Yeah, sure. Uh,
You're talking about pacing and
this
stuff.
the
Yeah.
second act.
No, you were talking about. No, that's visuals. Never mind.
We're good. We're good. The second between the second and third act, it's when that scene I was talking about when Jake has been captured. That is probably my favorite part of the movie. I think everything in that movie is incredible in that movie. In that scene, that like 20 to 30 minute range is like perfect 5 star. I love the heist concept almost of figuring out how to break him out. The marine biologist who steps in. Everything
Goat.
about that is awesome. Spider showing up and waver like literally just cooking these like incredibly intelligent scientists, and all he has to do is just like stand next to him. He's like, "What? You gonna kill me?" Like they're in that moment, they're just pissed as hell. But everything about that scene is just badass. Like it's just cool. It looks awesome. It's just watching Natiri go around and like literally like silent takedown half the enemies is just entertaining as hell. So this first and second act are so powerful, Caleb. I agree completely. I am going to get into a con here, and I know Tyler disagrees with this, but I'm going to mention this one. The third act, there are parts that are like shot for shot Way of Water. We are just copying the exact thing, which is everything with the giant ship that Quaritch is on, the big boat, the poacher that's trying to chase down. I don't even remember what the whale things are called, but he's trying to chase those things down. The whales jump up and crush the ships. I mean, we are just going bar for bar. Like, And then instead of having the big fight with Quaritch on the ship, they're having it on the floating islands. Like that's the only difference. That's frustrating to me because James Cameron, the visuals are so good that he's capable of way more than just doing the same thing. And Tyler, I get what you're saying when you say that they're different tonally. I get that. I agree. It's not just the same exact thing, but visually, I'm just watching a battle on water where the giant whales crush more ships. The poacher just runs around in his boat shooting them again. And then there's a big fight once again between Jake and Quaritch, which is literally just happening in all three of the movies. We're just watching Jake and Quaritch fight each other, which hopefully that's done now. I will be enraged if he somehow comes back, somehow Quaritch returned. But
Uh,
Had to be
that's
said.
that it did. It did. That's probably my biggest complaint is that it just feels repetitive in the sense of I've seen this final act before and I've seen the Jake versus Quaritch battle happen 3 times now. And as Caleb and I mentioned, they try to give you that possibility that Quaritch could be redeemed in this movie, and they throw that in the garbage, and he never chooses to be redeemed, and then he hopefully gets killed, which crazy. That's an insane sentence, but it's true. Hopefully
not
he's not.
him, technically.
Yeah, true. But everything in the first and second act is very, very, very good. There are a lot of things in the third act that are very, very good. I just think comparing it to the first and second, it's more on the first level than it is on the second level to me. I think Way of Water and the first Avatar are on two separate tiers, and I think this movie is closer to the first movie's tier than it is to Way of Water's tier for me, but it's in between the two tiers. So it is my second favorite. At first, I thought it was going to be my third favorite. After kind of just thinking about everything more, I do think it's my second favorite. So I'm going to shut up now. Someone else jump in.
I mean, I was going to hop into it and just say that that was one of my two big problems with this movie is I just did not love the final act at all either. It just felt so similar, I think, and the only thing that changes is you don't have a character dying. Instead, you're getting Kiri interacting with Awa more, which was cool. I like how that changes a little bit. I just feel like it was more jarring when it's on. Oh, what's his name? The brother that dies.
Matam or
Natam when he
Matam.
when he dies. That was so shocking and it added so much more stakes to that final part to where I didn't guess. I guess I don't hate this final act because it's similar. Because obviously I like the structure of it. Like it's a very good structure. It just felt like we could have done something differently and that would have elevated it for me. It's not so much that it's like bad. Like it's not like objective. Like I hated how this played out. It was just more like, well, we could have done it differently and that would have been better for me. Um, and so that's one of my. It's not even that big of a problem. It's just more of just like a disappointment factor rather than like a me objectively viewing the final act as bad. Um,
That
it
is a
just
great
was
way
a
of
little
putting that, Caleb.
deflating, I guess, a little bit. I don't know. Like I said, I still liked it, but I guess I just didn't see it as much as
Yeah,
maybe Tyler you might have. But
that's a perfect way of putting that, Caleb. Like it's not bad. It's just you expected it to be bigger than that. So it's still very good. But Tyler, you can add on here.
You know, I understand where you're coming from. And I want to start by saying I do agree. Quaritch being the villain for three straight movies and us having the same fight basically for three straight movies is a bit exhausting. I I do, and I know you guys didn't say it was like frame for frame, but like I do think there are mm, major differences between the final two battles. I actually think it's a bit of a combination of the first Avatar and Way of Water final battle. I think they do a pretty good job, or not. Yeah, I think they do a pretty good job of combining the two endings into this movie. Almost like an Avengers Endgame final battle kind of thing, where you're getting all these different tribes, you're getting the water, the people, the flying, all of that involved. But I think what really makes the ending for me, and I don't think it's like amazing. Like I have this as a five because of the first two acts, and the last act was good enough to maintain that five. I just want to get that straight. I don't think this ending is like absolute cinema. Obviously, there was great moments and some sad moments, but it definitely could have been better, and they definitely repeat some things. I just think the whole thing with Kiri is very interesting. Although the Great Mother does give us a little side eye, uh, I do I do like the aspect of how Curie this entire movie is trying to connect with her, and she finally connects with her when she finally needs her to connect with her. And not only does she just connect with her, but she can connect with the entire planet. It makes it so it's the final battle, and I think it does a really good job of doing that. It also apparently, and I didn't know this before the movie, but this helps with my feelings towards the end. But apparently, the next movie is supposed to be like an 8 year jump. So this final fight is like I don't know what they're doing for the fourth one, but like it feels like a final. We'll
They said
see.
it was focused on Curie a little bit. Then wasn't that supposed to be focused on
Yeah, she's
Curie?
supposed to be
Yeah.
like the narrator.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm glad you brought up Carrie because obviously that's one of the biggest points of this entire film is everything with her. I'm intrigued to see where they go. I would really like it if they maybe dove a lot deeper into how she does these things because sometimes it feels like a plot device. It feels sometimes like they're in a really shitty situation and she just connects her tail to like a fucking leaf
With the whole spider
and
situation. I
something
agree.
just blows
I
up.
agree.
Or like just being able to make Spider breathe. Yeah, I was like, okay, like I think it's cool that he can breathe now and I like the way they did that, but like how'd you do that?
And I wanted
Like,
him to die. So
like I did not want him to die like Tyler did, but there are just some
uh,
times where it's like if they explain this in future movies, I will not have a problem with it. And I'm not going to have a problem with it yet because it hasn't not been explained. But if they just go with, well, she was born as a clone and, she's connected. Like,
well, they say in the
give us
movie
a
that
little more.
they
I know.
basically
It's like,
the mother planted a seed in the clone, but like it's like
right, right. I just want them to dig into that more. And which it
I
sounds
also
like they will. That sounds like that's what the fourth movie will be about.
the one that now that I'm bringing it up, that kind of confuses me a little bit because if she plants the seed in the clone, but the clone is dead.
Yeah. And then it gives birth. So it just happened to pass the
Yeah,
seed.
that part I don't know.
That's what I mean. That's why I
Yeah.
want them to dig into this more. We need to understand more about how this works, how AWO works, how all of this shit works, and
Hmm.
how Kiri's able to just harness it. And the whole thing with like having seizures. Like, why does she sometimes not have seizures when it comes to the most important moment? And sometimes it's like immediate. She instantly starts having a seizure. Like it just feels inconsistent. It seems to have a lot more to do with when she's in the water versus when she's not in the water. But still, it just feels inconsistent right now. It feels kind of like there's a mystery around it, which might literally be James Cameron's intent is to make you wonder and make you question it. That way the next movie is more intriguing because you want to know about it. That might if that's how it plays out, well done. Like he did it. That's correct. That's how I want to feel. For now, it's got me a little lost, I guess, is the way to put it. But um I want to talk about a major pro that I have had across all three of these movies. And it's honestly it's probably my favorite thing of all of it other than the visuals, and that's
Of all
Sam
time.
Worthington. That's Sam Worthington. Jake is such a good protagonist. Like in all three movies, he is an awesome protagonist. And it's not like he's just a character that's a badass. Like, don't get me wrong, there are moments where he is cool as fuck. Like
Dude,
in this
Aura Farms.
yes, he does. There are some like something about him being the one flying around with like an assault rifle is just sick as hell. Like they all have these like spears and he's just gunning them down. And I'm like, yeah, this is America. But and like everything with I'm gonna call it casual because I don't know the names. What's Tarak Mach 2? I don't know. The giant ass
Oh,
droid.
it's called Turok.
Cool.
It's
Close
the
enough.
first, yeah.
Everything with him is just so unbelievably cool. I wish they used him more in this movie than they did. He kind of just gets shit on early on, and then Aura farms for one
Yeah, I was
scene,
about to
and
say he
then
does
like
Aura Farm.
he Aura farms for one scene, and then kind of pisses off. But
Uh,
um, so everything with Sam, like with Jake, like I was saying, like he's badass. But that's not why I like him. His dialogue is so good. Like he has so many like incredibly impactful and meaningful moments as Jake, and Sam Worthington is like the perfect actor for this. I bet James Cameron like just starts crying every time he hears Sam Worthington read one of his lines because it's got to
well,
be
it
like
wasn't supposed to
the
be him. It
exact.
was actually supposed to be Matt Damon.
That's oh, I don't like that.
that's right. Yeah.
But Matt Damon turned it down.
I like Matt Damon a lot, but I do not know if
They
he
actually, I'm pretty sure they like offered Matt Damon like a percentage of the movie,
and he said no.
and he
Okay.
said no. Like he would be making like hundreds
Insane
of
He's
millions of
amounts.
already
dollars.
rich as
Yeah,
hell. I think he's all right. But
yeah, but like, yeah,
yeah, that is crazy. But Sam Worthington is just so good. Like he is so good as Jake. And there's so many lines of dialogue where I just get it. It kind of reminds me of Paul Atreides in Dune too. Like there are just moments where I'm like, this guy is radiating aura right now. Like just the way he speaks when he's like getting all the villages to team up with him, or the way that he's like just everything he does is like it bare minimum interesting. And even I mentioned earlier when he's kind of being like really hard on Loak, I still like am intrigued in his thought process and feel emotional because I understand where he's coming from with everything with Nateum. So I just want to mention that and let someone else jump in here and add something else I want to say. But Sam Worthington is like S tier in these movies. Jake Sully is one of my favorite characters. He's got the aura where whenever they meet a new village, they're like, "Oh, we've heard of Jake Sully. Like Jake Sully. We know Jake
Everybody has heard.
Sully. Everybody's heard. Lisan Al Gaim. Like it's the same thing. It's the same shit. But yeah, no, Jake is just he's a top protagonist.
Yeah.
I, damn
Adding
it,
on to
Tyler,
that,
I even waited.
adding on to that, Zoe Saldana as Natiri is also really good. And with
Very
those
good.
two together, unstoppable. I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
those guys, those people, those fuck that couple is really good, really good. Go,
I really
Caleb.
like her
You're up.
character development in this one too. I mean, she starts off just straight up like a racist. Like she is racist. Like and not that she doesn't have reasoning to be. I mean, the Sky people have not exactly done anything other than just kill
Fucker.
everything they
Over.
love. But like it's interesting in the writing because it's even mentioned in this movie by Jake. He literally is a human. Like no, and he has that one scene I love
Oh
when
my
he's
God, that is.
confronting
I know
her
what you're talking about.
when he's
Where he's
confronting
like,
her honor, he says, "You will never see me as a Navi." Like,
"Are you ashamed of your kids?"
yeah,
Because
and she says yes, and that's like the moment where I think she really realizes like this is bad. Like, I am not being like it's that's the start of her character development right there in that moment when she says yes, because she goes away and she starts crying because it's the realization of what she said, and Jake comes over and apologizes to her, which he doesn't need to. He was completely right there. He cooked, but um, which ties into later with why she saves Spider because she realizes that he is essentially a child of theirs. Like, or she doesn't really save him. Jake
yeah,
does it all,
she
but
was
she
going
was
to.
going. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she probably wouldn't have. She actually no, she wouldn't have gotten there in time. But
No.
she was no longer wanting him to die. And even before Jake takes him into the woods, she's saying, don't. I don't think we should do this. I don't think we should kill him. He saved your life." Because she's like that character development is something I really enjoyed. Caleb, I know you and I talked about not liking the inconsistencies when it came to decisions. Her reasoning, I've come to peace with because I think that's character development. She's realized that she was in the wrong and that she doesn't need to hate Sky people just because a few have done the wrong thing. Like, I just love that scene where Jake walks that through her and says, "You'll never really see me as a Navi," and she admits to it, and that's when she realizes like that's the wrongdoing, and that's just meaningful to me. Like that's really powerful. And the flip side of that is the Jake's decision making as he goes back and forth with Spider. I think his is really valid too. He fight the whole movie for most of it. He's saying, "Why would we ever kill him? I love him. He's my son." It gets to a point where he's seen so much destruction and death that he's like, if they get their hands on him and they figure it out, we will literally net like we will they will burn this planet down. So then he's in that moment where for a brief moment he is not Jake Sully. He's essentially rabid. I mean, he's dangerous in that moment, and he's not being himself. And obviously, he comes back, which from the most emotional, traumatizing scene of the entire movie for me, with Spider begging him not and saying when he says, "Dad," something like, "Dad, do you still love me?" Stop, stop. That's terrible. And going from there, obviously, that's kind of what clicks in his head is like, "What am I doing? I'm not going to kill my son." All of that is just so good. Like I don't really know what point I'm making here, other than it's just really good. I'm just talking now, but I, I've gotten
It's a
over that
podcast.
as a problem. So yeah, that's true. It is podcast. That's what we're here to do.
Okay. Well, then I was going back to what you guys were talking about with Sam Worthington as Jake Sully. Really incredible. I guess Paul Fraser. I didn't even think about that, but for some reason, this is strange. It's my own thinking. I kind of liken him to like Caesar from Planet of the Apes, where they're not really similar, but just like the vibe they give off is like so powerful. Like, and I don't know, they're not really similar characters as far as like narrative goes, but they're just feel similar to me. But then, like you said, Todd, I'm glad you talked about Zoe Saldana because I was going to talk about literally everybody else. I think everybody in these does a great job with their motion capture performances. Like they need to get Andy Serkis in one of these. I don't know, give him some role.
God. Dude, him as a
uh,
villain with Loki go crazy.
because somehow James Cameron and his team somehow gets the best out of like everybody in these. Like Stephen Lang is underappreciated in these movies. I know I don't really love Quaritch as much as like as a villain piece, but he does a great job every time.
So
Una
good.
Chaplin is amazing in this movie. I think she is a. We haven't really talked about the Varang a lot. I think she is a. Tyler kind of mentioned it. Really love how the Ash people. I think I wish we could have done more with it. I think we should have done more with it because that's a really cool plot line. And I'm kind of assuming we will in the next movie. It kind of feels like they'll like maybe like have like a resurgence of some sort in the next movie. But yeah, the cast itself is really good. And then Gabe, you talked about the character motivations. This is like my last like really big point. I will agree. I feel better about it since we watched it Friday night. I still think there are problems that mostly stem from the beginning of the movie. Like you have said, there is a lot of good character development between Jake and Atiri. I think a lot of it does make sense. I just wish the way we kind of get started with some of them, the way these problems get started, feels so like they had to happen. They're adding them in ways I didn't think felt natural. Like we kind of start with Spider being like sold off to the wind traders immediately, and we just spent like the last two movies, like how he is in a crucial. Oh, it's the last movie. How he's a crucial part to this family, and then like 15 minutes into the story, we're selling him off, and it was just like feels like we're just creating the problem
Set him up.
to create the problem immediately. I get it for the story, and I do feel better about how Neytiri changes her mind on him and how they do shift back and forth. I do feel way better about that specifically because it does make more sense. Like they do shift their reasoning
I
for.
mean, he was gonna die if he stayed with them.
No, it's
Like,
true. I get
like
what they were doing. Um, and so I do feel better about that. I'm a little bit on the middle about Loak. I think it provides for some of the best moments of the movie with Loak and his dealing with his brother's loss and his, how he deals with the grief and how he's being pressured into it. I think it provides for some of the best moments. I do think it's a little bit iffy on how we're handling it, where it kind of does feel like it's like kind of settled, and then it's like, well, now a new problem is arising, and then they kind of resolve it. I do like how he makes it happier the better. He says, "I'm proud of you." Awesome, awesome moment. But like I said, this to Gabe in the car, it just felt like we were making problems that weren't there. And I get that's literally movies. I get it, but you have to make them feel natural and feel like it's happening for a good reason. And I feel like some of them were happening for poor reasoning, but I do feel way better about it now. So don't kill me.
Caleb,
you
I
just hate
want
the movie. I get it.
yeah,
I get it.
exactly why. Caleb, I wanted to add on to that. I think one of the biggest reasons I feel the same way when it comes to Loak is in terms of the decision making, it's because of Ronal and Tonawari being the leaders of the Water Clan. They alienate him so aggressively, like consistently. And I
Yeah,
understand like kind of why they do that, but
they're so hell
Jake is
bent on
like
their traditions that
Jake and
yeah.
Natiri are like usually not standing up for him ever, like at all. They're just kind of and I get it once again, it's kind of that thing with Jake is angry with the whole Natayam situation, but and that's where you kind of get that back and forth that you're talking about, Caleb, where it's like they're angry at Loak, they're not angry at Loak. Now they want Loak to stay, now they're angry at Loak. Now Loak's running away, now we have to go save Loak. Like I it him being the narrator and being this really important character who has a lot to go through, I wish that there was someone more on his side than just, are you getting abducted by an alien UFO right now?
The PS4, my dad's PS4 just turned into rest mode.
um, I just wish there were more people on his side throughout the film than just his siblings. I honestly wish Natiri would take more time to speak with him other than just when he fixes her bow. And well, actually, he doesn't do shit.
Well, it's
Whatever
like
her name
Soraya. It's
is.
like Soraya is like
I can't remember her name, but
the
this, yes, the,
yeah the
the daughter
daughter.
fixes
His
her bow. But
girlfriend.
that, yes, his girlfriend. That's an emotional moment because she hugs Loak there, but it just never feels like anyone is really on Loak's side, which is kind of the point because he's this outcast. But at the same time, you are getting that back and forth where they're like, "Oh, we love Loak, we're supporting Loak," and then he gets his shit chewed out by Ronal because that's another thing. Ronal is just never really a likable character. I think she's just always kind of a bitch, and They give you the emotional thing at the end with her kid being born, and I'm interested to see where that goes. But like, she's never really likable at all. She's just always this really aggressive, and even Tonaware has moments where he's like super chill. That's a funny way of wording that. He's like super just he's just a good person, and he's like very one-on-one with Jake about all this, but they just like snap because he's staying because Loak's with fuck. I'm not gonna remember the thing's name. His whale, the outcast.
Isn't it like
Oh,
Poke
Payanem,
Payatak, Payatak, Payatak,
Pycoon or something like that?
Paya,
Princeton,
Zoo Tycoon too. Winston.
Winston.
We are so
Oh wow.
okay. Um, they're just like as soon as they figure out that he's with Papaya,
All right.
as soon as they figure out that he's off with Papaya, they're like, no, this kid's the worst. Kill this guy. Get him out of here. And they're just so. And Jake's like, yeah, you shouldn't have done it, kid. Like, why do they not trust him ever? I don't like that they never trust him. And then he shows up to the Council of Whales later. And I need to stop talking about these. I am.
Uh,
He shows up later with
Kung Fu
Papaya, and
Sakura.
he shows up later with Papaya, and he's like, "Hey guys, no, okay, I'm done. I'm sorry. My point is, they're back and forth. They're all over the place. I don't like that in terms of Loak. Everything else, I'm over and I don't have a problem with. That's the only one that frustrated me, and I think it's because Ronal and Tonaware are like, this kid sucks, and Jake's just like, man, kinda. I'm done now.
Well, I'm
I
out
got
of points,
nothing
so
else. Yeah.
I went off there a little bit on a random stupid
yeah,
tangent.
you're
So
making fun of the whales' names. Great.
I am. I'm calling him Papaya. That's on
Dude,
me.
when they there's a little something I have to add. When they had the meeting with the council, the only thing I could think of in that moment was like the Hut clans. And when they meet with the Hut clans in the Clone Wars movie, do
Yep.
you guys remember that at all? Come on.
No, I do. I
Then
remember that
Cad
very
Bane
well.
shows up and he's like, "I'll do it." No, okay, we can move on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. That actually that does make
Yeah,
yes.
That's insane. Just pulling that one out of nowhere. But um, yeah, I mean, overall, like I think if you say this is a bad movie, you're just wrong. Like objectively, like
objectively, like
Um,
just
factual,
just visually, this is like enough to be considered at least an average film. Like if you just took the story and acting out completely and just looked at it, you'd be like, yeah, this is pretty cool. Like that's bare minimum. Um, I'm not gonna get into this. I did mention that this was the first one where I did feel the runtime at certain moments. Not like the whole movie, but there were definitely moments where I remember being like, "Holy fuck, are we there?" Like we're getting close. But I think there were just some moments with that third act where it felt repetitive to me. So I was like, "Okay, I've seen this. How much time is left?" But overall, this is just another incredible movie. This is another addition in the already insanely good Avatar trilogy, which clearly is there's no question on whether or not it's successful. Like there will be more movies. They will continue to make these. They are so very successful. So I'm very glad we all enjoyed them. I'm glad that I have decided to get off my high horse on these and actually watch them because I really have enjoyed the series and this is a really good way to end this. I believe called it was it he didn't call it chapter. What do you call it? He was like this is the first wow, I cannot remember what he called it. Not like the first trilogy, but he called it like this is the end of maybe an era. I don't know. I don't know what he called it, but it's just nice to know that we're gonna go into another like series with him of Avatar movies that hopefully have a totally different feel and we explore more of Pandora because that will always be my biggest takeaway from these movies is the rich culture of Pandora, exploring it, all the visuals with the settings, the creatures, the Navi, the different tribes, all of that is just mind blowing. And adding that on with the action, the different weapons, the lighting, it's mind blowing. It's some of the greatest work I've ever seen in film history. So that's kind of where I'm at is this is a really good movie. Like it just is. There's no other way to put it. So if you guys have anything else to say, we can wrap it up for good. Okay. Well,
good.
as always, thank you guys for listening. We love doing these videos. It's always super fun being able to break down movies. But let us know in the comments below what you guys thought of Avatar, Fire and Ash. Please continue to check out our other social media accounts as we are continuing to post stuff there. But as always, thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you next time.